What's going on, everybody? Welcome to this week's edition of the Hot Seat. I am your hostess with the mostest, P. Coffee Brown. I am joined by our dope, dressed up co-host tonight. Almost made me want to leave the studio and go put on some more clothes. I was like, dude, what's up? It's Tuesday. You look like a reverend tonight. What's up? What's up? What's
Hey,
up? Look like you got to preach.
look. We need some preaching today on this message.
Today.
This message is gonna be crazy.
Crazy indeed. So welcome in everybody from all social media platforms. We are everywhere. YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Clubhouse, and TikTok. We are like everywhere on social media. So we are putting it all on the table tonight. Super dope excited to have Taylor in the building with us. You guys don't know this yet, but you're going to find out soon. We're getting ready to start our new show later on this year. So we're getting geared up to get that show up and popping. Crazy excited about that. But in the meantime, we're just going to roll with this, because this is year 5, going into year 6. We've been here for a long time. Taylor, you've been on your own trajectory, on your own platform, doing your own thing. And then we got blessed with the benefit of being able to connect on Clubhouse, which was so awesome because I was like, man, so many relationships were forged in that space during the pandemic, and then they turned into these miraculous opportunities. And it's just been a blessing, to just meet so many people from around the world, build those partnerships, meeting people in person. It's just been really, really, really crazy. So I'm like, man, it's that platform. It's been cool. It's been real cool.
Look, it's been amazing. And you know what? Some people have had different experiences on Clubhouse, but Clubhouse really allowed me to meet amazing people like yourself. Also, it allowed me to network with different people that I probably would have never encountered. We
Period.
had some celebrities on there. We had some people all around the world,
Yeah.
different perspectives. Like for me, like I said, you take the bad and you take the good, and when you put it together, as far as with my experience,
All right.
I love it.
Look, I was on stage with Les Brown. I was on stage with Oprah Winfrey, and Gail. And it's just like, I was so like, this is really crazy. It took away the distance, from where everything seemed like it was so far away and so out of reach, and it brought it so close to home. But we're not talking about that tonight. We're just reminiscing a little bit, kind of reminiscing on what, on the love we had. You know what I
mean? Absolutely. No, reminiscing is good.
It is.
As far as like memories and great memories is really good. And not only that, it teaches you the things that you have learned. And some people think, oh, my life hasn't gone anywhere, but it has.
Yeah.
You just have to look back and see where you were and where you are today.
That's a fact. That will preach for real. Seriously. So, we were talking about what we're going to chat about this week, and something that has been going on with people, and it's been on for a long time now, but since the pandemic is over, pretty much, the most difficult aspect or elements of it, as far as from us not being able to be connected,
right.
People are now attempting to find their way relationally again. So many relationships were dissolved during the pandemic. I found out today, somebody mentioned to me today, they said, hey, I'm going through a post-pandemic divorce. And I was like, what? She was like, it started in the pandemic. Yep. And now, we're dissolving everything. And she was like, and it's ironic. I said, you might want to check out the show tonight. She was like, I don't even know where to start again. So that's what we're talking about today. We're talking about starting over after a very challenging breakup. We want to give you some steps to help you on that journey. It's not easy. It can be very difficult for a lot of people, because if you get into a relationship for the right reasons, you don't intend for it to not work. And between the devastation of it not working and the devastation of just feeling like either betrayed or left or unloved, or it could be a whole lot of different emotions that come along with a breakup that you have to address before you can step into a new relationship. And then that apprehension and that fear of the probability of the same thing showing up again causes some individuals to just be like, you know what? I don't even want to try. I just don't even want to do nothing like this again. I'm done. Relationship, forget it. I'm just going to be single for the rest of my life. Which, to be honest, that's not really realistic. Let's be truthful. No one truly wants to be alone forever. Forever is a long time. If you can imagine, people are living longer now. So I could not fathom in my brain at 40 something years young being by myself at 90 something years old. That don't even sound right. That's like 50 years. So if you really think about it and you really consider it, we all want companionship. We want someone in our lives, you know, regardless of the intent of having the person present. Now, we ain't gonna get into that tonight. But, regardless of the intent of having a person present, we all want somebody to go on this journey with us. It's a beautiful thing to have a fantastic relationship. And so, relationships are that's why we're here. No human is an island. We know that to be true. We really know it to be true from the pandemic. The pandemic really showed us that we really don't want to be alone. It was nobody that was, jumping up and down saying, "Hey, finally, everybody got to be in the house by themselves." No, that was not the case at all. It was the exact opposite. People were really challenged with not being able to have their family, not being able to touch their loved ones, not being able to get in a car and just ride to a friend's house and just say, "Hey, I just came through to check on you," not being able to have a hug and somebody to hold on to you. That was a tragic time. And it just really taught us that we really don't want to be by ourselves in totality. Nobody really wants to be like that. That's a hard life to lead. And it's a very miserable one if you really be honest about it. So we want to just give you guys some tools and some steps to be able to address that rebuilding process. And one of the greatest things that I saw when I did my research, I got to go do my research. Me being at the graduate level of education, I cannot not research. You know what I mean? It just wouldn't be right. I got to go in there and dig up some information. And one thing that I found when I started doing some research was that I saw quite a number of things that said you got to be able to communicate, to share with the person that you're connected to, that you are apprehensive, that you are afraid, you know, and without having to get too intimate with what you're feeling, but just be honest and just communicate. Say, yeah, I am a little bit scared. This is new territory for me. I'm a little nervous about it. What you think, Taylor?
No, absolutely. I think being honest is key, right? And not only being honest to the other person, is being honest with yourself, right? And so once you are honest with yourself and you're sharing that honesty with other people, it empowers you.
Mhm.
One thing, it's you're owning it, right? You always hear
Right.
that word, I own this. Well, in order to own something, you have to admit that it's actually taking place,
Right.
right? So once that confession happens, it builds you up, it empowers you. You're not as afraid anymore because you're sharing it. It's just like going through something tragic, right? If you keep it bottled up inside, you're never going to overcome it. You have to talk about it. That's all they say. Part of therapy is talking about it, sharing it, writing it down, letting people know how you feel, right? And people appreciate your honesty. Yeah, I understand. Some people might use that as a weakness, to weaponize you and what have you, but people are going to do that regardless of anything that you share if they're coming from a bad place, right? So I totally agree with the communication.
And it's funny that you talked about that weaponizing. You like anything else, we still got to be meticulous and careful about who we find ourselves connected to. That's going to be very important in the rebuilding of, your trust, not only in somebody else, but your trust in yourself, your belief in you, that you are worthy, that you deserve it, that you can have a phenomenal relationship even after a failed one. It still can manifest, it still can show up in your life, and you can have somebody show up that's really dope like you really are. And you got to learn not only how to communicate with that other person, but how to communicate with yourself. What words are you saying to you? What words are you speaking to you when nobody's watching? What do you talk? What does your self-talk look like? Are you encouraging yourself? Are you edifying yourself? Are you talking about the great things about who you are as an individual? Is that conversation healthy when you are in that mirror, or you're in that time when nobody's looking at you? Are you talking to yourself crazy? Like, you know what? You really, no, you ain't, you're not no good person. You don't, nobody wants you. You don't, ain't nobody gonna ever want you because you're stupid or you're ugly or I just don't like you. You need to go work out. You don't look good. Da, da, da. Just talking crazy to yourself. Some people have a really bad self-image, and their communication with themselves is really what's causing them not to have an external healthy relationship because of how they see themselves. So communication between not only others, but how you talk to yourself. Another thing that I found is being in it to win it. Be in it to win it. Be in it with the intent of it working out. Be in it with the intent of it being a good relationship this time. Be in it to say, you know what? I don't care. Come hell or high water. I am going to experience a phenomenal relationship. I'm in this to win this. You thinking over there, Taylor?
No, yeah, you have to have a positive outlook. I mean, if you don't have a positive outlook, you're not going to win. And that's with anything, right? And so,
Mhm.
you know, one thing that I would say, and I don't know if you're going to ask the question in as far as how do we start, and I know we're talking about communication, but you mentioned something about communicating with yourself, and and
Mhm.
and and that's a key component of start to date. um it starts with you. You got to date yourself first. I
Right.
know that we want to get into the relationship, we want to meet somebody, we're out one, and some people trauma bond with other people, and it goes. But the thing
Let's
is
not talk about those trauma bonds.
well, what people don't understand, Coffee, is that when you're with somebody for a long period of time, um, things change, times change, you change. And so when you're out of that relationship, you're not the same person. So you have to learn yourself. It's you have to know what you like and what you don't like, and what because the things that you used to like 10 years ago with an individual, you might not like that 10 years later, right? And so in
Mhm.
order for you to enter into a fresh relationship with somebody, you have to know you. and
Right.
and and not and I don't want to get ahead of this conversation, is that what you were 10 years ago and what you thought it was, it's not what it is today currently. Okay, so
No.
anyway, I'm going to leave it right there because I don't want to get ahead of the conversation.
Well, but I mean, you didn't open up the worm now with the can and got the worm crawling all over the place. So we may as well pick the worm up, you know? You're right about that. That's another thing that people struggle with is that lapse in time. I remember somebody was telling me they were married in like 2000 or something, or 99 or something like that. And then their marriage dissolved in like 2020, right? I said, okay, now in your brain, because your brain is only going to recollect what it has already experienced when it comes to relationship. I say your brain is going to think exactly what it thought when you were in the relationship that you were in previously, but the world is not the same world. I said, think of it this way. If somebody went to prison and they come out 20 years later, they missed 2 decades of activity, 2 decades of what's been happening in the world, 2 decades of what people have been doing. And their ideas, their thoughts, and their information is now obsolete. So when somebody's coming into the dating world not having to have dated for any extended period of time, it's going to be a whole different ball game. The way that things move, the way that people communicate, the way that people respond, the intentions of relationships now, how relationships are executed, how you even get an opportunity to meet somebody now is totally different. If you miss 2 full decades of information because you didn't have to be exposed to new information, most people, once you get into a relationship and you commit to somebody and you're there for the long haul, you're not doing no research on new relationship stuff. What is the new dating trends? That's totally irrelevant to your life experience. You don't need to keep up with that. That's not something that you need to continue to keep up with, because your intention is not to go back and start dating again. That's not the intent of being in a relationship. So you brought up a very valid point. I mean, 2 decades, or 5 years. It could be 5 years. The difference between dating now and 5 years ago is still even different. Some of the moral compass that a person has, I don't think that part should change. And how they view love and intimacy and things, I don't think those things need to change. I do think the execution has to change. You got to come up, you got to step up to the plate with the new execution. It's like AI. Whether we want to accept AI or not, AI is here and it's not going anywhere. It's not going to do anything but evolve, 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 evolve. It's like the telephone. Perfect example. When the cell phone first came out, I used to work with Southern Bell. It was a big, huge box. I don't even have anything remotely in my home that looks like that thing now. It looks like a dinosaur now in comparison to the phones. But it was a big, huge box. You had to go take your vehicle in for them to install everything into your car. It was a lot to have a cell phone when they first came out. Fast forward now, you just do a click of a button and it's at your door the next day if you don't even want to leave your home to go, or maybe the same day. Just depends on where you purchase it from, and you just click a couple buttons and hello, and you're on to the next thing. So that's how relationships are with the evolution aspect, as far as the changes that happen from the time that you were dating to the time you dissolved your relationship to the time you had to go back into dating. It's a lot of changes.
No, 100%. It, it, when I discuss this with certain individuals, when it comes to relationship, they want it a certain way, although everything else in their life has changed. This is where I get a little quiet when I'm listening to people having these conversations, because their whole life has changed with technology, doing their bank accounts, communicating, FaceTime, Facebook, WhatsApp, Messenger, TikTok, Instagram. So the communication has changed, but everybody still want to communicate like we're back in the 20s.
The 20s?
Let me say that again. Yeah, like the 20s. Like
we wasn't even around in the 20s.
Well, exactly. So 20s, they didn't have any communication as far as technology, right?
Right.
But we have people that's in relationship that, they don't understand that the new way of communication now is texting. Yeah, I know you can't text every day. And there's people that don't like texting, but guess what? This is so funny. You don't like texting, but you own a computer. You don't like hey, you own a computer. You're not even talking to a live person when you're on
you know what's crazy? It's funny you say that, because a lot of companies are now interviewing like that, where they're taking away all the communication. Like, what are you doing? We're interviewing on Teams now, and you're going to be chatting for interviews now. What the heck, that? What?
But are we taking away communication, or it's just now through a device? The communication is still there. What people want is not, they want the communication. Communication is there. You could communicate in various different ways. They want the touch and feel. That's what they want. The touch and feel.
What's wrong with that for relationship, Taylor?
No, 100%. But here's the thing: times have changed. The touch and feel can be there when you go out on a date. The touch and feel can be there when you're living with the individual. The touch and feel cannot be there 24/7 like some people want the touch and feel 24/7. We have to work. We have
I
priorities.
mean, I do agree with that part. The touch and feel cannot be 24/7. I do agree with that part. However,
Mhm.
it is really imperative that we understand the need for that, for the connection part of it.
100.
So
But but
that
but
that part can't be forfeited.
but
I'm not
that's
gonna sit here
that's
and text nobody to death.
yeah, well, it has to be compromised because the world that we live in is moving forward, whether you like it or not. Like you can fight it, whether you like it or not. Relationships, the way how we communicate in relationships will change. That is a fact. You cannot stop it. You cannot, because everything else that we touch, everything
Uh-huh.
else that we touch has changed. You're trying to keep the relationship traditional, but everything else that you have touched has migrated to the future. It does not work. It does not work. If you want that kind of touch and feel,
Mm.
then you have to eliminate a lot of things in your life to keep that touch and feel.
Okay, so some traditions are to be held. Every tradition is not to be given up.
100%. But guess what? It's not the way you think the tradition should be. See, the thing is, the person that's been removed from society. I'm gonna say that, and I'm being funny, right? When you're in a relationship,
Very much so. Very
you,
much so.
you kind of remove from
But
society.
you are though. And we don't want to use a prison term. However, the isolation
Yep.
of uh connecting to different people changes because it's not necessary anymore. It's like you in the job market and you're dating all these different companies, deciding which one you want to be married to. Once you get that marriage and you start developing, cultivating that marriage, you don't need to continue to date all the businesses. So it's the same concept. So you're in the thick of things with that individual. You definitely don't need to continue to explore if that's the person you really want to be with.
No, 100%. Now, I don't want to say to those individuals that might disagree with me, which is okay. I love a great disagreement. I love.
Obviously,
I
obviously, the
I
great debate.
I love it. But here's the thing. Your perspective, everyone that's listening to me, your perspective that you don't agree with me, that is okay. But that doesn't change my perspective. That doesn't change all the other people that understand that communication has changed. It has. And so if you want that same touch and feel, then guess what? You have to find an individual that is on the same page with you, and you have to set those time, right? Those
True,
quality time frame
true.
where we say, hey, we're gonna put down our phone. That means when mama's calling, you don't answer that phone.
Right.
When your sister, when your girlfriends, all that stuff have to cease, right? When
Mhm.
your child is crying because they want to look at a tablet or they want to look at an iPad because you want to keep them quiet, so you're playing the cartoons for them, that has to cease. You see, but we can't have those things going. But when it comes to a relationship now, we're back in the past. We're back in the days when cell phones didn't exist. See, and that's the thing. We're trying to control the relationship, but we don't want to control everything else that's shifting. Like you said, AI is coming. You can literally write scripts now just by saying, "Hey, I want to write a letter because I love this job," and the computer will generate an email to write what you wanted to say. Those things are happening, whether
Mhm.
we like it or not. And like I said, relationships now, for people that just want to sit and talk, I'm going to be honest with you. Movers and shakers don't have time to sit on the phone and hear you breathe. I'm letting you know that from jump. Okay. It's people that have businesses don't have time to sit and just, oh, I want to sleep with you on the phone. We don't have time for that. Maybe back in the day when we wasn't CEOs and we were going out and working hard and grinding and coming home from a long day and all that, we want a nice healthy meal, which some people do, want a nice cooked meal, and let's sit and let's talk. Yeah, there's times set out for that we can arrange. But the way how the world is going, the way how our life is, we just don't have time for those things. Like I said, you can take time out for those things. But when you're coming into the market, let's call it what it is, you're coming into the market has changed. Now it's for you to use your principles, your morals, and have to now adapt. I'm not saying change, but I'm saying you have to now compromise because half the world has shifted, but you, because you was in a, what do you call it? You was in a relationship that was
Right.
isolated, that, it was what do you call it? What do you call when something is just, is not mundane, but when something is routine. You just came out of a routine that has changed
That's a
in the
good analogy.
world,
Yeah.
right? So I'm saying you have to compromise,
Yeah.
whether you want to or
That's
not.
true. That's true. But here's the thing with compromise. Here's the thing with negotiating. You have to be with someone to where you both can understand what that really looks like for your relationship. You got to be specific to your relationship because you may meet someone who holds the same values as you and they really desire that communication, and they want to make sure they want that kind of communication, that kind of intimacy. It's funny that you're talking about the being on the phone thing because this new generation is very interesting. Of daters because my students, all of them, like I deal with hundreds of students every day, high school level, right? And then young adults that are in college, in the early years of college, the younger community, not us going back to school like me, but the younger group of college students, they stay on the phone with each other all night. Like, why is the phone on? Why is the phone on and you listening to them breathe all night? I don't understand. I don't get it. And so one of the students said to me, she said, Miss, honestly, if you really think about it, you didn't really have a phone to be on at night. The regular house phone wasn't really compatible for you to be on the phone all night. And I said, you know what? Now that you said it like that, that makes sense. Because the house phone wasn't in the bedroom. The house phone was normally in some common area in the house, and you had to go to the phone. I know you remember that, Taylor, when we were growing up. And you can appreciate running to the phone when you're hearing it ring because it wasn't anywhere close by.
No.
So when she said that, I was like, oh, you know what? Now that you say it like that, it wasn't convenient at all to be on the phone then. But now with these flat smartphones, it's extremely convenient to let the phone just be open all night on speaker. And I told my daughter, I say, I feel like that's control. And she's like, no, mom, it's a mutual agreement between two people. And this is the way we do it. And I said, weird, weird, totally weird. But, when I think about it, like I said, it's a mutually agreed upon decision in their relationships that this is what they want to do. And that's something that people have to realize when you're going back and you're starting over with dating, you got to figure out what your agreement is going to be with that person. What agreement are you, the two of you, going to have, not based on what your prior experience has been, but based on what your future experience will be. So you can't go off of what was. You are going to have to start over. It's almost like the concept of your computer when you were talking about computers. Well, sometimes you got to literally clean the whole hard drive. It's got to be, your whole computer has to be wiped clean in order to fix it. Well, that's how new relationships start. Your computer, your Rolodex of all this stored information from past experiences with this one, that one, that one, that one, it's got to be wiped clean because now you're in a new agreement with a new person who was not there with all that other information that was previously stored inside of your brain. It was some information that was stored before the person showed up. So now you got to rid yourself of all this old information and download new information to your hard drive in hopes that you don't have to keep doing that you don't have to keep hitting a reset, that you identify a good solid person and you're able to have a journey with them. Funny, I called my dad earlier and I was talking to him because he had been on my mind like for 2 days. I said, "Oh, I've got to call my dad today." So I called my dad and I said, "Where are you doing?" He goes, "Well, I'm on the way home from the broadcast." Well, my dad has been on the radio for 33 years, something
Wow.
crazy like that. Same radio station, same time, every single week for 33 years.
Wow.
So my dad says to me, he says, "Yeah, I'm leaving the radio station that I've been going to for 33 years. And the producer at the radio station been there for 50 years. The guy just loves radio." Like, I'm like, dude, y'all are really, really doing a lot. And then my dad says, "Well, and I'm going home to my 50-year-old marriage." And I said, "Man, Dad, you got some longevity, in your life." And he goes, "Yeah." He said, "A lot of this stuff now, there is no longevity." So I was telling my dad, I said, "It would be almost impossible for you to try to figure out how to get a new hard drive to download new information after you've been uploading the same information for 50 years and 33 years." And my dad was like, "I can't even imagine trying to put new information into my hard drive. It would where would it even be stored?" And I was like, mm. And it made me think about people who have not dated for extreme periods of time. That's what that made me think about. People who are saying that they want to have a new relationship, but they haven't done anything to kind of start dating again. It's like, okay, you say you want to have a new relationship, but you're not doing anything to get it started. And then if and when somebody shows up in your life, you don't even know what to do because your hard drive, you've downloaded so much stuff into your hard drive that is not going to be conducive to open up to somebody else.
Yeah, you're already conditioned, and like I said, you don't even know yourself. You don't
Yeah.
even know what you really like because you've been pleasing somebody else for about 20 years. So now you meet this young guy. Let's just call it what it is, because
Mhm.
some people, they get out there and they want to, they getting all this attention from these younger guys, right?
Listen here. Listen, I ain't gonna say nothing, but I'm not gonna say nothing. I ain't gonna say nothing, but I'm not gonna say nothing. But go ahead,
And then these younger guys come and look. These younger guys, look, we're gonna send you a quick text and keep it moving. You know what I'm saying? You expecting us to
listen.
look.
Unless now here's where the rubber meets the road. There are some young guys who were exposed to, households where they were communication heavy, like it's interesting. My son's 20, he'll be 25 in September. This dude will literally call and talk for an hour.
Oh,
Like, dude. And I was saying to him the other day, I said, it's almost it's almost I don't even know what term to use right now. It escapes me. But I know a term. It's unique for
mm,
that to happen now, where somebody in his age group has an innate desire to communicate. It's like my students in my class. I communicate with them very heavily. We take time to have these conversations. I ask them, "Hey, what did y'all do last night? What's going on? How was your weekend? What happened last week? What are y'all plans for this week?" And all the while in my classroom, they're talking. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And one of the teachers came by not long ago. She said, your class they do a lot of talking in there. She was like, "That's unusual." So when I went to her class, dude, all they was doing was on the cell phone, just like this. Nobody was saying anything to anybody. They were not communicating. And I told her, I said, as much as I like the idea of sending a quick text and getting it over with, I also like the idea of hearing a human voice on the other end of a phone, seeing a human face, having a conversation with a human being. And, it's such a lost art that it's becoming a danger even to the police department. Let me tell you, one of the guys in my community, and I know you can appreciate this, Taylor, he's been working for the judicial system for 55 years, something crazy like that. He retired and then he went back to do some other type of, he's a trainer for rookie cops, right? And rookie cops, they still go by that old philosophy. And I know you're probably familiar with this. When you come out of the academy, they want you to go places to spark up conversations, right? He was saying that the rookie cops are having so much trouble just going to a restaurant, sitting down in plain clothes, out of uniform, as a civilian, and sparking up a conversation because they've been texting so much. And it's becoming a danger because they can't come to your house and text you about what's going on. Hey, text me what's going on. No, they got to have a conversation with you. They have to have conversations. They have to communicate. They have to. If you call 911, you can't text them and say, "Hey, I got an emergency." No, you have to be able to communicate. So even though we have changed the way that we do things as far as dialogue is concerned and how we connect, there is still something very precious and invaluable, priceless about conversation. Just like me and you right now, on this platform, hundreds of people all over the place connected to us, all these different social media platforms. We're having a conversation and they're plugged in. They're listening because people still want to have that connection, that tangible, real time, intimate connection. And I think that it's so important that when people get back into the dating scene, not that they overly exert the thought or the idea of that, but they make that an intricate part of their process to be able to rebuild relational walls. I think it's extremely important.
Yeah, I think I just want to add to what you just said. I think people do love the real connection, and what we're doing right now, but people also want to feel in like they're in control. So at any moment now, they can just walk away and swipe up and go to something else. And
True.
I think people are short spanned as far as their attention span.
Hmm.
And I think that this, with like doing Facebook, doing Instagram live, yeah, people love the fact that they can do that from the comfort of their home. And like I said, they can just swipe and turn it off or go to the bathroom and you don't even know that they left.
Right. Right.
So once again, with technology, these are the things um that it is. Yes, there's touchy feely people, and people just want to be in your presence and what have you. And um and that's great. I'm not knocking the people that have that, but I'm saying that the way how the world has changed and shifted, and even with the dating, where you're swiping left, you're swiping right, like the dating,
Right.
the way how dating is. A matter of fact, let's go a step further. Let's not talk about the swiping right and swiping left on Tinder and Bumble. Okay, let's say, hey, I want a woman
For
that's
the record, Taylor, I really don't like Bumble, but go ahead.
okay. I want a woman that is beautiful. I want a woman that's smart, that has a degree. I want a woman that's an entrepreneur, and I want
Mhm.
a woman with no kids and never been married. And I'm gonna reach out to this dating matchmaker, and they're gonna find me somebody, and I could just sit and wait until I get the message. That's you know. So we not only went from swiping left, swiping right, but we also went from a person can really find the person for you and deliver them to you. It's I mean, it's that simple. We're not going to the meat aisle in a supermarket anymore to look for that guy at 9 o'clock in the morning in his jogging shorts or tank top, right? Like those days,
The gray shorts.
the gray shorts, yeah, shorts. I'm gonna leave it as there, the gray shorts. But
Oh God.
those days can happen, and I'm not knocking anybody, vision or their dream or what have you. But I'm saying if
Right.
you're waiting on that while the world has shifted, because here is what I've noticed. This is so interesting, right? And these are for the skeptics out there, right? Because I love the skeptics also. When you're going out to a club or when you're going out now, people are so programmed to not meet somebody out in public anymore. Their mindset, their frame of mind, you hear, oh, I'm out with my girls, they don't want to be bothered, right? back in the day, it wasn't, I'm out with my girls, I don't want to be bothered. Girl, you see that guy, he's looking at you, right? It was always, oh, I'm going out, I'm gonna meet me somebody. That whole shift in today's how dating is. When you're on a dating site, everybody is open to date. Oh, I'm open to look. Oh, this person, we already conditioned that. Yes, we are putting ourselves out there to receive.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when we go out, what our mind is saying, I'm going to the store, I'm coming back home. I'm going to get this, I'm coming back home. They're not even how should I put it? Open to say, hey, today going to the grocery store, I might meet somebody in that meat aisle. We don't even think like that anymore
Yeah, that's true.
because technology has shifted to say dating is online now. Everything is saying dating is online. So you have people that's going, like I said, on Bumble, going on Tinder. Oh, where did you meet this person? Oh, I met him online. Plenty of fish. I mean, I can name them all. Facebook, Instagram,
Yeah.
right? Not, you don't hear stories now saying, I met him at a parking lot. I met him, I don't know, out at a social. What have you?
Yeah.
It's dwindling.
Yeah. Yeah, and you're right. But you know what? It's the bad part about that is the relational attention span is short.
Oh,
And it's like, look, that's another major thing about getting back into this dating world is that if you've been out of the dating world for any extended period of time, you've got to understand that the dating attention span is going to be short and you're going to have to really, really have some endurance and some patience in order to really meet somebody that you want to be connected to for the long haul. It's going to take a minute because the when I tell you the attention span is so short, it's almost offensive, but you just got to be like, you got to have a little bit of endurance to be like, you know what, I know this is going to be a little bit of a little something to deal with, so I'm just going to buckle on in and I'm going to just enjoy the journey. So a lot of people, it's so funny that you mentioned that. A lot of people that are coming back into the dating world, they're being discouraged because of the short attention spans relationally now. Very discouraged. Almost to the point where people are like giving up on the probability. And I'm like, nah, it's somebody out there, but you just gotta, like it says, there's plenty of fish. And a lot of them just need to stay in the water that they're in.
I
It is
mean,
what it is.
it's very simple. I'm going to be honest with you. If you really look at this, and I want
Mhm.
for those that are watching and listening to really hear what I'm about to say. It is very simple. When you're out of the market for a job and your resume is rusty, guess what you got to do? You got to tighten up.
Updated.
Okay,
Yeah, true.
it's no different than presenting yourself to the public. Okay,
Right,
you're a little rusty. It's not
right,
them because we think it's them. The world has changed. The
right,
world has changed, just like the job market has changed. It's
right,
not job. It's you. You have to come up to speed.
right,
You're behind. You're
right,
let me say this. You're a little outdated. And
right,
and like I said, I'm not trying to bash anyone, but you have to come up to speed to what the market now is.
right.
And that's life. That's in modeling, that's in acting, that's
That's
even
true.
as entrepreneurs. As
Right.
entrepreneurs, let me tell you something. Remember TikTok, Coffee? You know, when TikTok came out, you know what I said? I said, "Oh man, this is for these kids, man. I can't do no Tik. I'm not. I'm just learning Instagram. Now you want me to start dancing and doing all this thing for TikTok? And guess what? TaylorMade Speaks did the dancing and the stuff for TikTok because guess what? That's where the market was going.
Hmm.
So if you want to keep if you want to keep your desires and your passion and you want to grind it out and you want to go door to door, that's fine. You could go door to door and make those sales. And I'm not saying door to door salesmen and women don't work, but I'm just saying I prefer to
It
be
is a lot harder though.
it's just like dating. I prefer
Yeah.
to be on the internet and selling my books than to be standing out there trying to get a sale. I'm sorry. That's just me.
No, you're making a whole lot of sense. You're making a whole lot of sense. And that's why I said when it comes to getting back into the market, it's just some things that you have to do a little bit different than what you did when you were in the market before. Funny, like our next project that's coming up, the way that I do marketing now is not the way that I did marketing when I first started my company 4 years ago. It's like totally different now. Like, ooh, have to do these interest meetings and webinars and all this kind of stuff. And all the hunting to find talent and all this stuff is it's different. It's totally different than it was when we had first, started the company. And in the next couple of years, it's going to be different again. And if you want to stay in business, you're going to have to adapt to the changes. And that's the same concept. If you want to stay in a relationship or you want to find a viable, strong relationship, you got to stay relevant. You just got to keep being relevant. And relevance means research. It means getting in there, looking up information, finding out what's going on, looking at how people are moving around right now. And it's funny you mentioned TikTok because there's some other platform that's on the horizon now. I just saw this big old I saw a big thing about it. The same company that created TikTok, they've launched another social media platform. I can't think of the freaking name of it right now. It escapes me. But it is what it is. It's just like we was talking about with Clubhouse. Clubhouse is starting to become obsolete.
Yeah.
They fire a lot of their leaders and just it's changed drastically because when they started that platform, the platform was designed to keep the world connected. Now that everybody is back in moving and shaking and able to move around, they're no longer in need of just seeing somebody's face and hearing them talk. They want to see people now. They're back to wanting to see active engagement, on social media. And I said, how's this? I'm wondering, I keep wondering, I'm wondering if Clubhouse is ever going to take those little bubbles and let those bubbles be live. That would be dope.
It would.
But it'll be a lot of money though, because that would be extremely expensive to do that.
And not only that, they have to censor it. So when you have somebody that's doing something inappropriate on there,
Oh, they ain't gonna do it then.
they're not going to do it.
I forgot about that part.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. I forgot about the nutcases in the world. It'd be some real wild stuff going on there if that's the case. Never mind, what I just said. Never mind, just and now that he pulled out the sensory, oh well, shoot my idea down. Don't even worry about it. It just wasn't a good idea. Period. Okay. So on to the next thing.
Yeah.
So before we get up out of here, we're going to give you guys a couple of tools and tips that you can use to help you on your journey as you're getting it back out there, getting your feet wet again, getting back in the pool.
Yeah.
Make sure you're like we were talking about being relatable. Make sure you're relating. Make sure you communicate. Learn how your person communicates. Learn how that person connects. What is the building block that they use to connect their dots for everything in their world? You got to learn how that person communicates. You got to be completely honest about where you are, your ideas, your thoughts, what you've experienced, without being too transparent to the point of endangering yourself, because you can cause harm to come to yourself when you divulge too much information too fast without really properly vetting and taking that time to really, really get to know the person that you're dealing with. So always be wise when you're doing that. Sink yourself into something that you're passionate about, something that makes you feel good, something that works for you, whatever that is. Sink yourself into that. Get into something that really adds value to you, that really makes you feel happy. So that way you're not so engrossed in trying to demand so much of a person's time. Taylor mentioned earlier about people that are CEOs and busy and doing other stuff, got other things going on with their life, just got a lot of different energies going on in their life. It could be in a shifting as far as their work, their careers. It could be a lot of stuff going on in somebody's life, so you want to be cognizant of that, and you want to be busy. People like busy people. They like to see people being productive. They like to see people doing something. They like to see you doing whatever it is that you do for you. People like to see that you have something going on personal. Be very forgiving, be very gentle with yourself. In the process of all this, keep loving you, keep loving on you, keep investing time in you, keep dating yourself, keep taking yourself out, doing stuff that you love to do with you. Focus on the good parts, focus on what makes it bubbly and exciting and fun and energetic. Really, really focus on that and just hone in on it and just keep that energy. And that way you can go through the process without it feeling like a task or something like that. Be clear about what you need to feel comfortable in a relationship. Now, that's a big one. Be very clear about what makes you feel comfortable. If you don't feel comfortable with somebody who doesn't communicate all the time, or you could be around somebody who just has had their life in a certain way, and their dealings have been in a certain way that they have to learn how to adapt to you. So you got to be, you know, just kind of a little gentle in this whole process that you're in as you're learning how to rebuild the building blocks relationally. So those are just a couple tips, couple tools that you can use to get back out there and start getting your feet wet again. And before you just get in that pool and shoot, dive in head first. So we definitely wanted to give you a couple tips and tools, and Taylor, share whatever it is, some
I,
tips and tools
I just
that
want to
you
go
may
back
have.
I just want to go back to the staring when you're sleeping and yeah, there's some people that want to watch you sleep and what have you. I think you're right. I deal with some narcissists. Narcissists do love to watch you sleep. They want to call you. They want to watch you sleep because yes, it's a form of controlling. I've seen it over and over and over. So you have somebody that wants to you dating that they want you to video to do FaceTime, and they want to watch you while you're sleeping. I think that you should look into that. I don't think that's normal. And that's all I'm going to say on that. But I think you covered everything.
It is a little weird.
Yeah, it is. It's weird. It's eerie. I have shortly. I did experience that. A person that I was briefly talking to wanted me to watch her sleep, and I'm like, I'm not. Coffee. I don't even like to stay on the phone and hear people breathe. Like
Me neither. Me
once we,
neither.
the thing is, once 5-10 minutes is over, and you said what you have to say, like you're just repeating it now. You're just reminiscing.
Right.
God, I can't believe they said that. Oh my, you're saying that over and over. Like
Right.
we don't have nothing else to say. Let's move on.
Right.
But anyway, but yeah, you've covered it all. I think that, like I said, people need to date themselves. They need to understand what they like, what they don't
Hmm.
like, and then they have to understand what the market is out there. Yes, you're going to experience ghosting. You're going to experience all these things. There's people that might not be your match. You
Right.
go through 50 people and they might not be what you're looking for, and that's okay. This is not, you don't jump from one 20-year relationship and then the next person that you meet is going to be the end all, right? You're
Right.
going out there, you're meeting different people. Some people are not going to call you back. Some people only going to text you. Like you have to go through the process until you find a person that you connect with. So it's just
Period.
life. It's just how it is. And if you feel that, well, this is not for me, or I'm scared and what have you, maybe it's not for maybe you need to get additional help. You might want to see a counselor or this or somebody or a matchmaker that can do the work for you. So we have different tools out there. But if you are scared or I don't like this, I don't like that, I don't like this, I mean, then and you're getting negative results. Sometimes you just got to take a break. you
Right.
know, I'm I was doing that back in the day, and I was on a dating site, and I just had to take a break,
Right.
you and readjust and understand. Oh, I'm coming off too harsh because of my experiences. I didn't want nobody taking advantage of me, getting a free meal every time, Monday through Friday, what have you. So, but what I didn't realize is that when I took the break and I came back,
Hmm.
very firm and stern, and I was running people away
Mm.
because I was being defensive now because of what I've experienced. So I had to
Mm.
readjust, right? So there's a lot of things that you're going to go through. But like I said, it's the process and it's life. If you
Right.
don't meet the first person, that's okay. Maybe the second person, maybe the third person. Maybe you just want to wait, and because of your faith, you want, somebody to enter into your life, but that doesn't mean you don't make yourself available. That doesn't mean you're
Right.
going to networking events, right?
Hmm.
I don't believe persons just going to show up to your house. Like my neighbor had told me one time that she's believing that the person is going to come to her house, and FYI, she's still single, but that's another story.
Right. Right. Listen, this has been phenomenal as always. And you guys saw Taylor's information flash across the screen a couple of times, and mine as well. Definitely connect with us. We are life coaches, and we definitely can add value to you in the space of relationships if you're interested and open. And like you said, get you a matching making coach. And even with that, you still got to cultivate. You still got to do the work once they do identify a person that's a phenomenal match for you and all those good things. But we're definitely excited about this. And we're excited for those of you that are getting back out there. You are doing what you got to do. You're excited about the opportunity to meet somebody new, and you're open, and you're just ready to get it done. So we wish you great success
Absolutely.
in your journey to find new love. And we will catch you guys again on another edition of The Hot Seat. I am P. Coffee Brown, and this is Taylor Made Speaks. Y'all enjoy the balance of the evening, and thanks for tuning in. Blessings till next time.